Dear sir, I write this note to you to tell you of me plight. And at the time of writing, I am not a pretty sight. Me body is all black and blue, me face a deathly grey. And I write this note to say why Paddy's not at work today. While working on the 14th floor, some bricks I had to clear. Now to throw them down from such a height.
Okay, we're here at the markets. Basically, because the markets are about food, so I'm going to talk about the food that came from Britain. First of all, the support given by British workers wasn't just the food and money sent to Dublin. For instance, 14,000 railway workers in Britain went on strike in support of the Dublin workers because they said they wouldn't deliver anything destined for Dublin to the British ports. And of course there were sackings and suspensions. 14,000 of them were out on strike. Unfortunately, the leaderships of the various unions in Britain, while very good at fundraising, very good at material aid, were not supportive of their members taking industrial action in support of Dublin. We can only really guess why. Nobody can be absolutely sure. Whether it was an innate conservatism, whether it was a fear of bringing an attack by the British government on themselves, we don't know. What we do know is that if it wasn't for the aid from the British unions, the dispute here would have been over in a couple of weeks. Because people had no money, everything that could be pawned had been pawned. People were literally starving. And as an example of how bad it was, if I'll come on to that in a sec, because I'm just confusing you. On Saturday, the 28th of September, just a month into the dispute, a ship, the SS Hare, arrived up the Liffey. On board were 60,000 family boxes, each box holding enough food for 5 people. Thousands of people lined up at Liberty Hall with their vouchers issued by their union branch to be exchanged for a food box. Food ship had a great effect on the morale of the strikers. They knew they weren't on their own. They knew that people in other countries were watching their struggle, and most importantly, they knew that their colleagues, their fellow workers in Britain, were determined that they would not be starved. That was only the first of the food ships. In fact, between the ships bringing over food and the cash that was sent, at today's value, it would come to at least €10 million. Dublin did, to a degree I think, repay that debt in the mid-80s during the British miners' strike, when Ireland gave more per head to the British miners' strike funds than any other country in Europe. And next month, on Saturday, October the 5th, I'm sure it'll be in the papers and there'll be stuff around, there will be a reenactment of the arrival of the first food ship. The United Trade Union and the Liverpool Trades Council have chartered a ship and they're going to sail it over from Liverpool to Dublin, and I'm sure we'll have a bit of fun when they get here. Liverpool people, so they're almost like honorary Irish. They do know how to enjoy themselves. The thing I was going to mention earlier about the difference that the food, it doesn't sound like much, you know, the occasion, you know, you get a food parcel maybe every few days. It wasn't a lot. Bit of sugar, bit of tea, maybe some bread, some potatoes, nothing great. During the lockout, the health of strikers' children actually improved. Because on the wages that most casual workers were getting in the city at the time, they could afford practically nothing in the way of good food. People were surviving literally on a breakfast maybe of black tea, bit of bread. Lunch, bread and dripping, animal fat. That was the diet for a lot of people. Bit of meat maybe on a Sunday. It was very much a subsistence lifestyle if you were a casual worker, which an awful lot were. The porters, the carters, a lot of warehouse staff, dock workers and so on. You didn't know from one day to the next whether you had a job or not. It also meant that it was impossible for people to build up any savings. But the fact that, an occasional food parcel dished out in Liberty Hall, that the effect of it was that children's health actually improved, really gives an idea of how bad things were. And of course, just to finish on Liberty Hall, it was also famous at the time for the soup kitchen in the basement. There's a famous picture, I think, of the Countess Markievicz working in the soup kitchen. Well, actually, my understanding is the Countess Markievicz worked in the soup kitchen one day. And it took the women who were running the kitchen 2 further days to sort it all out again after she left. The Countess being from the sort of background where it was probably the first time she'd actually ever prepared food rather than had it delivered to her. Our final stop is just going to be up at the end of the road here.